Hello and welcome back to the Home Reiki Meditation and Massage channel. My name is Sirmanartha, and once again I am with you this week. We will be going into a new read that I picked up about Geronimo, Native American culture and history, tribal, uh, anything that has to do with Native American is an interest of mine, especially during the Midwest or not Midwest, the Old West and Civil War era. And it's sad and heartbreaking to read about the atrocities that were committed against the uh, Native Americans. But it is history and it has an interest, and hopefully, as we learn about these things, we can shed some light and awareness and, practice as individuals not to fall prey to things like that today. Briefly, I'm going to read a few, pages or paragraphs. And also, I just want to hear your thoughts. If you have an interest in this and you like to hear my content, reading stories, different topical stories, or if you have suggestions, please feel free to share them in the comments below, or send me an email at sirmanartha@gmail.com. And as always, oh, excuse me, I'm getting all choked up. As always, sorry, it's cold and flu season. As always, if you like this content, this channel, this page, please be sure to give it a like, comment on the video, and share and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to be updated on all my videos as they're presented. So with that, let's go into our reading of Geronimo, an American Legend. Now I have to remember where I left off. Okay. Alright, let's get a little angle up here so that way you're not looking up my nose. In 1882, General Crook was returned to command at San Carlos, and for some reason he seems to have undergone a profound change. Now, General Crook, he was a general at the United States Army his mission was slaughtering the Indians. Now, this time he talked with the Apaches on the reservations, and he became convinced that their grievances were real and that they had just cause to distrust the United States government and white men. He began conducting investigations into the corrupt practices of white contractors and suppliers and set about instituting reforms, including reestablishing the Apache police, first created by John Clum. So that's pretty interesting. I'll have to do a topical study on John Clum for establishing the first Apache police force. Crook did not want another war with the Apaches, and he decided that the best place to meet with Geronimo and the other leaders was in Mexico. But in order to cross the border, he had to wait for the Apaches to make a raid in the United States by the international agreement. Oh, let me reread that. But in order to cross the border, he had to wait for the Apaches to make a raid in the United States. By international agreement, he could go into Mexico only in pursuit of hostile Apaches. Oh, that's kind of like slick there. He was using their loopholes to his advantage. At last, in 1883, Chato, I believe it's Chato, Chato, led a raid on a mining camp near Tombstone. It was the excuse Crook needed, and he took a force of 50 soldiers and civilian interpreters and 200 Apache scouts across the border. After searching for several weeks, the scouts located Geronimo's camp, but Geronimo and the warriors were out on a raid. But Crook did manage to meet with Geronimo and to have lengthy talks when Crook agreed that Geronimo and the others had probably been treated badly at San Carlos. And when he said that he did not intend to take away their weapons, Geronimo agreed to return. But, he said, it would take him several months to gather up all the Chiricahas, Chiricahas. You could probably pronounce that. I'm probably saying it wrong. So if there's a correct way, I'm going to try to Google Translate later so I can say the name with proper respect and correctness. Crook took him at his word and went back to San Carlos to wait. A large number of the Apaches returned to San Carlos in May. Geronimo said the rest arrived in February of 1884. Things were peaceful for another year on the reservation, but the white citizens of the Arizona Territory stirred up trouble once again. Newspapers contained stories about Geronimo, accusing him of all sorts of depredations and calling him an inhuman monster. Some suggested that Crook had surrendered to Geronimo in Mexico. Others called on vigilante action to hang Geronimo if the army would not do it. These tales reached Geronimo's ears, and in May of 1885, he, Old Nana, another Apache named Chihuahua, and Mangas, the son of Mangas, Colorado, decided to go to Mexico. Geronimo asked Chato to go with him, but Chato refused. Geronimo, with 92 women and children and 34 men, after cutting the telegraph wire, left the reservation. Chihuahua changed his mind along the way and dropped out with his band. They were going back. A pursuing column of cavalry met them along the way and attacked them before they could explain. Furious, Chihuahua led a series of vicious retaliatory raids for which Geronimo received the blame. I'm turning the page here, and we got one more paragraph, and that will conclude this chapter for this week. Geronimo, in the meantime, was doing his best to avoid any contact with white people. He just wanted to get across the border, and he did. Crook knew then that he would have to return to Mexico in order to deal with Geronimo, and that was the beginning of the campaign of 1886. So it's very interesting, and I applaud them for taking a stand and doing what's right, despite the circumstances. You know, he was looking out for his people and trying to protect them and lead them the best way he could. So if you have an interest in this type of history and you want to hear more on this subject, please feel free to let me know. And with that, we will resume our next video, probably time permitting, over the weekend. And I will be doing brief reads through this book. So with that, have a good night, and always remember to keep healing.